Hey everybody, this is Dr. Ada Wells and I'm coming to you from ProBalance. And today we're going to talk about your lower extremities. And I wanted to just kind of go over one exercise or one movement that I find really is helpful for any of my patients or my clients that tend to complain of having those achy knees or achy hips or achy feet, or they're walking on the golf course and the feet are getting tired and they've got plantar fasciitis, or they've got pain in the front of their knee when they're trying to run, or the hip just feels creaky. Those are all issues that, like I said, as we start getting older and kind of the tires on our car start getting a little bit worn out, that I hear more complaints about. So a lot of it kind of boils down to a couple things. One is having mobility in the right place and stability in the right place. And when you do have those things, being able to then on top of it be able to maintain good alignment. Now, on the floor, I can cue somebody on the floor and I can say, okay, if you're doing a squat, try to keep your knees in the little toaster slots as you're bending down. So I'm watching where the knee position is. By the same token, if I'm having somebody do a squat, a lot of times people are very grippy in their hips, and so they might actually be creating a lot of excessive stability around this whole area. They know to stabilize their core, but then in doing so, they're actually overly recruiting so many muscles that they're not allowing the hips to move as freely as they normally should. So that can lead to some hip issues. And then down at the feet, oftentimes people have stiffness at the ankles. And so when they come down and they go to do a squat, the ankles have nowhere to move, so they just collapse inward. And so, I might have to cue them, lift your toes up a little bit, so that actually helps to support the arch. But one thing that's nice is when I can actually allow a person to do a movement that requires a lower body, but takes away all these extraneous cues, all the left brain processing that has to happen. And that's why I love using, yes, our trusty OOV. It keeps coming back, and it's just because there's so many great things you can do with it. But one of the things that's kind of a magic exercise with the OOV is working on some standing work. And for those of you guys who are part of my membership site, stay tuned. I have a whole slew of balance and standing work that I am just going to be adding here this week. So make sure that you keep your eyes open for that. If you don't belong to the ProBalance TV membership site, go ahead and go to www.probalance.tv. There's a free portal you can sign up, and I do sneak some of those exercises in there, but it's a nice, easy place that you can find some of these videos a little bit more organized that I've put out there, and they're just easier to find, but it gives you a little preview in terms of our bigger membership. So what we're going to do here with the OOV is just a very simple exercise that just gets people to sort of know where their knees are in space. Now, what I was talking about earlier, sometimes when people do a squat or they do a step, I'll see the knee kind of drift inward or outward. And what's great is when I have somebody do that same movement, so if I have a person standing, maybe their second toe is about even with the groove, and when they're standing on here, they're kind of right at the top where the arch is supported. And what's interesting is if I do that same step up and down from here, it's really difficult. Like if I try to do it wrong, I can easily mimic doing it wrong on the floor. It's really hard for me to do it wrong on the OOV without immediately falling off the OOV, okay? I'm forced to actually find my center. I'm forced to find good alignment. And knowing that alignment is a big, big portion of making sure that your body's moving well. Just like the car example. If we have a car that's out of alignment, you're gonna wear out your tires faster, right? Well, these are our tires, right? This is what keeps us going and keeps us moving fast. So this is just a really nice way to do multiple things. Here I am, I'm doing this step up. At my feet, I'm getting this great little fascial stretch and separation and opening of all this tissue that's usually trapped in a shoe, okay? It's able to lengthen. It's able to kind of go, I can explore. All those bones can spread out a little bit and just feel and get some sensation. This is important for your brain. If you have issues with balance, the problem a lot of times is that we're wearing shoes all the time. So those parts of our brain that are responsible for sensing what's happening underneath our feet, they're not getting stimulated. So this is one way to just give your brain a lot more of that information, okay? Second thing we're doing here is that, when I come up here, I'm also, if you look at me from the side, I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see my foot here, but I'm actually, get myself lined up, I'm actually able to get a little bit of stretch. My heel is down lower. Now I can orient my heel down further on the neck of the oov here and get a little bit more of a stretch. But for right now, I'm just keeping it up here. But that being said, I'm still getting a little bit of this mobility, kind of moving up and down in this mini step up. Now, going back to the hips, we talked about those people that sometimes are really super rigid. If you are rigid, you are not going to be able to balance, okay? I mean, it makes sense, right? If you put something really stiff on something and you move a platform underneath it, they're going to topple over. But if you have the ability to have this control and the fine-tuning movement, you can maintain your balance. So those people that have the hip and the low back and all this stuff in the lower body, we're now just creating just enough instability. It's not like an air-filled Dynadisc where there's so much instability you go into all of your large muscle groups. This is small, this is subtle. Your body will find its center. And in doing so, I've had people who have SI joint issues or they have knee problems. Normally when they're doing their regular, they're like, yeah, I can't do that lunge exercise because my knee hurts. And they go and they're able to do this stepping up and they're like, oh my gosh. And they're like, my knee doesn't hurt. I've never really been able to do this in any of my classes. Why? Because your body is brought to the center. And that's where I think it's so nice. And then afterwards, you move around and it's like, wow, my foot and my body just feels a lot freer, a lot easier. So that's just like one of many little exercises that you can do on the oov. And like I said, you can do these in all sorts of positions. You can do things lying down. We do it in all different orientations. And it's really, like I said, it's such a valuable tool. Just as a reminder, oovs do come in different sizes, small, medium, and large. Size does matter. And so you do need to make sure if you don't have an oov and you're like, wow, these things look like really cool exercises. I'll make sure I put a link in here as to where you can buy these oovs. Balanced Body distributes them. Daniel Valletta from Australia. They come from Australia. They're Aussies. He's the one who invented them, and they are great. For those of you who are teachers, fitness trainers, rehab professionals, and you want to learn more, a couple things coming up. One, I'm going to be hosting and maybe actually doing some other workshops just locally, like 2 and 3 hour workshops. And actually for those of you who aren't rehab professionals, these are fine for you too. You might be somebody who's in the Bay Area and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to learn more about this. And I'm going to actually do some like 3 hour workshops that are going to be designed just to give people an introduction in a little bit more detail than just the class. We do have classes here at ProBalance, but maybe for other places around. I've got some other studios that have been wanting me to do a little something there. So kind of stay tuned for that. Once again, if you get on my list, probalance.tv, or if you, write a little message down here like, I'm interested, let me know, because certainly the more interest I see, I'll make sure that I let you guys know when that stuff is coming up. Secondly, like I said, there's going to be some actual more official training workshops next weekend. This is October, so right now we're October 17th. This coming weekend in Southern California, there's an oov level 2 class for those who've taken the level 1 already. So in case you didn't know that, that's happening in Southern California this weekend. And then in a couple weeks in Salt Lake City, it's going to be the oov level 3 course. So that's going to be a much more advanced course. You've obviously had to have done levels 1 and 2 beforehand. So for those of you who are oov lovers, just remember those are coming up. Make sure that you sign up if they're hopefully not already full. And once again, if you are somebody who just wants to get some other ideas, because I like to explore, I like to be able to play with things, and because I do have a lot of rotational sport athletes, I do keep them in mind when I'm working with the oov. And the great thing is that oov is absolutely designed for anybody who does rotational sports, which pretty much, as I mentioned before, is just pretty much anyone in general. So that's my little spiel there, www.probalance.tv, just to get into the free portal. And that way, like I said, you'll make sure you won't miss out on any of those. And I will be sneaking in some exercises into that free portal. And for those of you members who are part of my membership site, you're going to get a whole bunch of things. So I will look forward to seeing you guys soon.